Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Kayla. This is my cat, Tuna. I have another cat called Mojo, and he is sleeping right now. But we release new videos every Monday about all things BPD and mental health. So if you want to see more about BPD and mental health, or if you just like my cute kitty, Tuna, and you want to see more of her, then I encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification up top. Now, last week, for those of you who are following along, I released a video discussing the differences and similarities between BPD and NPD. Today, I figured that I would continue along this similar stream of thought and talk about the 4 different kinds of narcissistic personality disorder. Again, these are not official subtypes. They're not even subtypes. They're just more ways of classifying how NPD behavior can express itself. If you're just joining your community and haven't watched any of my other videos that discuss what NPD is, then let me just take a minute to summarize what narcissistic personality disorder is. As I mentioned, it is found within the cluster B of the DSM of the personality disorders, and it's categorized by things such as this grandiose sense of self, this sense of entitlement, fantasies about success, power, beauty, brilliance, exploiting others. So that in itself is how we define NPD. Now, NPD is a spectrum, right? It's not everyone who will present the symptoms in the same way, that will act in the same way. Maybe they have other comorbid disorders which influences how those things present themselves. This is the reason why I want to take the time this morning with you all to really explain the 4 different subtypes of NPD. And the first one is this really overt, meaning almost in your face, okay? This is how you can remember it, overt, in your face, narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, so when we think of this overt or in your face or open narcissist, open meaning out in the open, it's easy to spot, we can think of this person who is overly aggressive, who has this really exaggerated and inflated sense of self, this huge ego, these tendencies to exploit others. It's very apparent when you look at these behaviors. So there's clear gaslighting, there's clear deflections, there's this clear belief about being better, superior than other people. So we see this as very evident, open NPD. And to be honest, when we think of NPD, similar to BPD, right? When we think of BPD, there are subtypes. When we think of BPD, the classic one is this very in-your-face, aggressive BPD. Same thing with NPD. When we think of NPD, we think of this overt narcissistic person. So the first type of narcissist is this overt narcissist, as I had just mentioned. The second type would be this covert or vulnerable narcissist. Covert meaning covered, okay? It's almost hidden. These people appear as the victims. So there's a lot of reverse victimization in relationships of, my life is so hard, poor me, all of these bad things are happening, and no one likes me. Okay, this kind of dialogue that, in this case, the shame that they experience is much more accessible, and this grandiose sense of self is more unstable. Okay, so it's not as consistent as we see with this really overt narcissist. These are the people that would be passive aggressive, that would victimize themselves, reverse victimize. So when they do something to you, they revert to think about how hard this is for me, and I don't want to do this, and my life is so difficult. That would be the more covert narcissist. Okay, so maybe not as evident initially as the overt narcissist, but we see that ultimately the behavior is derived from this need to feed their narcissistic supply, which I talked about the video last week. So it's this need to have people provide them with a sense of importance or a sense of self, and through being a victim, they derive the same thing of, I'm different, right? I'm special. I'm no one understands me. I'm better than everyone in my own victimness. So we really see this kind of dialogue of blame shifting, passive aggressive, accessing shame. We see a lot of, again, this tendency to have a lot of cognitive empathy, but no real emotional empathy. So they can really understand that the things that they're doing are harmful, but because of that, they can use that to their own advantage. And because they don't feel the empathy for you, this warm emotional empathy, they will use that in a way to exploit the situation. All right, so when we're thinking about the types of narcissists, it's important to note that someone who is a narcissist can either be a covert or overt. Obviously, sometimes there's slight tendencies that will overlap, but generally speaking, there's one pattern or the other. So either an overt, really open in your face narcissist, or more covered, covert narcissist. From that, depending which type that they are, there's two types of ways that those people will get their narcissistic supply. So either they will be a cerebral subtype or a somatic subtype. So let's start with the cerebral. This is really that those who are narcissists will use their intellect as a way to gain their narcissistic supply. What this means in practical terms, it's someone who will boast about themselves, will often talk about how successful they are, how intelligent they are, how much better they are than everyone else. Someone who cannot handle constructive criticism. Someone who always belittles others, right? I work at my work, everyone is so stupid and they always make these really dumb mistakes and I'm the only competent one and I'm the only intelligent one, or my boss asked me to become the new leader and because I'm the best and no one else stood a chance. So belittling others and also not attributing any of their success to other people. So if they stepped up in the corporate ladder with the help of others, it's automatically, no, it's all because of me and I did this and I'm so intelligent and I'm the best. So using this cerebral thing to get this sense of validation for their narcissistic supply. Okay, so covert, overt, either cerebral or somatic. Somatic, what does that mean? This is the narcissist who gets their narcissistic supply from their body image, okay? So this person who is very vain, who's very almost obsessed with how they look like, talking about how attractive they are, how sexy they are, and how much people that they slept with and everyone wants them. So looking for the sense of validation through their bodies, through what they can do physically. Maybe those who are more obsessed with going to the gym and really talking about themselves and sleeping with a lot of people. So getting this sense of validation by connecting on a physical level with others. So to summarize everything I said, firstly, when looking at NPD as being on a spectrum, it's important to note that there's different layers. So the first one is someone has a sense of entitlement. Secondly, they might have narcissistic traits without having the full personality disorder. Then if they do have NPD, we can have either overt or covert. Overt being very open, so very aggressive, exploitative towards others, mean, cruel, gaslighting, all those in your face. They think that they're the best, grandiose sense of self. Covert narcissists, it's victimizing themselves. They have a sense of being special and that no one can understand them and that they're different. There's being passive aggressive, there's the shame, there's all of this really cold and cognitive empathy, but no warm or emotional empathy. From that, usually they will either be a cerebral, meaning that their intellect is the way that they get their narcissistic supply. So boasting about their accomplishment, thinking that they're best, they can't receive constructive criticism. They do not attribute any of their success to others, okay? Belittle others in terms of their cognitive capacities. So cerebral or somatic, meaning the physical. They get their narcissistic supply through their appearances. They're very vain. There's hypersexuality. There's infidelity. There's thinking that they're the best physically, that they're the most attractive. There's an over-obsession with their physical appearances. So again, covert, overt, cerebral, somatic. This is NPD. And when we go further along the spectrum, we have other things like then they would become malignant or sociopath And then finally, psychopath. Okay, so it is a spectrum of severity, or not intensity, I would say, about how the different symptoms do come about. And that globally is how we can understand NPD and the different ways in which it presents itself. I hope that you found this video useful, and I'm curious to know what you know about NPD, and if you have any questions relating to the topic, please let me know in the comments below. I always read and respond to all of them. I'm curious to know if you have specific topics that you would like to see covered on this channel. Please let me know. On that note, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I wish you all the best day, the best week, and I will see you next time for another episode of On the Line.